Alright, fire it. Keep shooting.
A video was leaked today depicting what appears to be a U.S. military helicopter firing on unarmed reporters.
Some people see Julian Assange as a revolutionary and freedom fighter, breaking down barriers so that information can freely flow through society. Others see him as a dangerous egomaniac whose love of the limelight overshadows any sense of justice he might have. WikiLeaks is a similarly contentious issue, those for it claiming the site to be a force for good, exposing injustice and corruption that would otherwise go unnoticed, and those against it believing the site to be reckless and irresponsible, putting lives at risk to protect freedom of speech. The Fifth Estate endeavours to tell both of these stories, and while it's a valiant effort, the result doesn't quite hit the mark. Partly based on co-founder Daniel Berg's book, it begins in 2010 when WikiLeaks published thousands of America's military and diplomatic documents, with newspapers worldwide examining the classified information. The film then travels back in time to detail the meteoric rise to infamy of both the site and its founders, with Berg and Assange publishing documents that uncovered police corruption in Kenya, political wrongdoing in Peru, and a nuclear cover-up in Iran. But in spite of these successes, they failed to achieve the fame and notoriety that Assange lusted after, causing tension between the two. The 2010 leak changed all that, rotting both the site and the man to fame, while also raising complex moral questions about exactly what kind of information is in the public's interest, with the newspapers redacting names and places that could put lives at risk, but Assange posting files unedited.
14 pages in The Guardian, 12 in the New York Times. This is more coverage than all the leaks we have had combined. We're winning an information war, which goes beyond any short-term alliance we have with the mainstream media. And you want to throw it all away because you fear that some US government informer might come to harm?
These are human beings, Julian. And their lives are at stake.
Well, what about the lives of the soldiers and the civilians involved in these conflicts? Death squads.
The film doesn't attempt to answer these questions. Screenwriter Josh Singer simply presents his version of the facts, leaving it to you to decide. The Fifth Estate is also a character study of Julian Assange. He's a complicated man, confident and self-righteous one minute, scared and paranoid the next. The film features several attempts to explain his strange behaviour, with talk of an absent father and his mother marrying the leader of a cult. But as an insight into his psyche, they feel clumsy and oversimplified. Benedict Cumberbatch has become the go-to guy for arrogant intellectuals, and here his aloof charm is put to great use as the enigmatic Australian. He really does look the part, transforming himself physically and perfectly mimicking Assange's Aussie drawl. But it's far more than simple impersonation, with Cumberbatch endeavouring to delve beneath the surface to get to the beating heart of this complex man.
Room 376. When Miss Lang returns, bring her up. They'll assume you're in for the night. I'll give us plenty of time to find a way to slip you out of the hotel and for you to show me what it is that's got their knickers in such a twist. Anyway, good night.
Good night. Good night.
But every time we get close to understanding Assange, if that's even possible, we're back to the story of the site, which makes for a frustrating viewing experience. However, director Bill Condon manages to make what could be quite dry material really jump off the screen, with scenes of men typing into computers shot like action sequences. He also opens up the story geographically, with the action travelling from London to Belgium, Germany, Kenya, Iceland, and finally Washington, where we get the US government's take on events.
Regulation of meals.
6 apart, we'd love to do a piece on this. Do you have a French spokesman I could follow up with?
Hello, Guardian, gracing us with their presence.
Look, a young Woodward and Badstein.
Excuse me.
Now look at this. Hustling for a story, trying to get the world to pay attention. I should be working for him.
At the rate they're sacking journalists, you might not have a choice.
Sounds like you're trying to put us out of business.
I just want you to do your job properly. If you can't, someone needs to pick up the slack.
The filmmaker should be commended for striving to tell the story from as many perspectives as possible, but the end result is a film that flails around, giving you glimpses of world-changing events when what you really want is a bit more substance. So while at times it's a gripping account of this remarkable period in recent history, too much of the story is either missing or still happening. And while it was brave to try to tell the story of both WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, the Fifth Estate ultimately bites off more than it can chew, failing to do either story proper justice. But in spite of the fact that a more focused narrative might have made for a better movie, Bill Condon's feature is smart, even-handed, well performed and above all thought-provoking, earning an IGN score of 6.8 out of 10. And for more on the Fifth Estate, keep it locked to IGN.